Well, good morning, everybody. And I wanted to start us off today by taking a look here at some of the forecasts for where the smoke is going to be going from the western wildfires over the next 48 hours. You do see the large dip that's showing up here, and that's all a part of a broad front that's spreading throughout the plains and Midwest. And unfortunately, it's going to push a lot of that smoke back toward the west. Of course, yesterday we saw some incredible and dramatic footage of what's going on with the mosquito fire. This is just one of several fires right now that's going on throughout the Pacific Northwest. On satellite this morning, you can see Earl, which is moving on off to the north and eventually back out to the east. We can see the flow around the upper level low we've been discussing that's going to combine with this front that's slicing through the Midwest right now, which delivered some rain last night. But I want to take you back to last night to show you a couple other things. You can see the extent of the smoke here throughout the central part of the United States. And I'm going to look later today to see kind of what was causing these three separate circulations that showed up here. I don't know if you can see them with me on satellite. But of course, another big topic will be Hurricane K, which has now been downgraded to a tropical storm. So we're going to see how Tropical Storm K delivers quite a bit of moisture here into parts of Southern California and eventually some cloud cover and even some better rains throughout parts of the Intermountain West going forward. So I do want to just quickly rewind the clock and show you, this is one of my favorite websites, coolweather.com. What they do is they kind of produce an hourly updated map showing you where we approached or set new records. And what you're going to notice here is the exceptional heat throughout the western United States this week has certainly been a week where we've approached and set a lot of new records. So it just kind of really puts a cap on what's been a really incredibly hot week for the western United States under a very large ridge. Well, thankfully, that whole pattern is showing signs of breaking down. And let's talk about the temperature pattern first today. So this will be our last day of extreme heat in the Central Valley of California. The pattern change that's coming is going to be helped by the cloud cover from K. But take a look at the front that's slicing through the Midwest today. Here's Friday's temperatures, then getting into Saturday. So temperatures will back off at least 10 degrees in the Central Valley of California. Could still be hot up here, kind of in the I-5 corridor, the Willamette Valley, into parts of Oregon. But the cold air continues to dive south in the midsection of the country, and it'll move further on Sunday. So by the time you get into the weekend, we should finally get a break from this heat. Now, as we press forward into Monday, the coolest air moves right over here over the central and eastern Corn Belt, and a ridge reopens, delivering back up into the upper 80s, maybe low 90s into Montana. And then as that front slides on east and the upper level low kind of teams up with it here early next week, as that moves out of the eastern Great Lakes into New England, we will see another shot at some quite warm air for this time of year, maybe up to 10 to 15 degrees above average, putting temperatures back up into the low 90s in the plains. The good news is as this front comes through, let me just take you back to like Saturday, getting into Sunday. The overnight lows coming in here will be in the 40s, maybe touching the upper 30s, but the likelihood of a frost is very limited. So just thinking back about K and other tropical activity, I want to give you a quick update here. This again is where we expect Tropical Storm K to go, so you can kind of see it sliding over here. And what's going on in the Atlantic right now has nothing targeting the United States. So let's just go right into the high-res models, pick it up about 10 o'clock this morning, and we'll see those three features. There's the front. There's Tropical Storm K. You can see the northern rain bands coming into Southern California. And this will be the flow around the upper level low that's going to meet up with this front and a little shortwave sneaking through it later this weekend. So heavy rains in the southeast. The front slides through, delivering scattered rainfall into this area, maybe some stronger embedded thunderstorms. And K just continues to put rain into Southern California. This is now getting out to Saturday morning, playing through the day on Saturday through midday, getting into Saturday evening. So that plume of moisture moves up into North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, as the front moves from Wisconsin down into parts of Kansas, maybe delivering some rain into Kansas. This will be important rain for winter wheat planting that's coming up. As we then play through Saturday night into Sunday morning, the front right about here kind of meets its end. There's a lot of drier air that's coming in behind this, and it's going to match itself up with this upper level trough that's going to sit and spin here we've been talking about all week. And that's going to spin over the eastern Great Lakes and move on off to New England. So we kind of put all that together and just say, what's the next week look like in terms of total precipitation? Well, from the main front, the heaviest rain could be in Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. On the leading side of the upper level low, it's going to be here, stretching through the southeast up along the Appalachian Mountains. And then you can see Hurricane K possibly putting down 1.5 inches to 2 inches in Southern California. Although the latest heavy rainfall forecast is really trying to keep it on this side of the mountains. The rain that you see here is coming in later after Hurricane K kind of pushes some moisture in, but there is a very distinct possibility that inside of this area we could miss out on nearly all of this precipitation as the models have trended quite a bit drier in that area. To show you that, I do want to flip over quickly to the high-res European model. So we've seen through Saturday into Sunday. Let's just pick it up from here and see how this plays out. So Sunday evening into Monday morning, the upper level low sits and spins and presses on off to the east and northeast by Tuesday into Wednesday. Higher pressure settles in behind this, and we get a lot of scattered storms in throughout the Intermountain West. Now this is out here next Wednesday night. Getting into Thursday, we'll watch a weak disturbance come along the U.S.-Canada border north of the Great Lakes. But other than that, a lot of shower activity and some storms embedded throughout the west and Pacific Northwest. What I'll be watching most carefully is next weekend on the 17th and 18th. This is kind of rock back and forth. Can you kind of see how the atmosphere is doing a bit of a number like this? This would indicate a deeper wave that's coming into the northwest and could eject into the plains and produce a significant low that comes out here and really races across the country. We've seen support for that in the ensemble members showing up with that same feature. So we're going to keep an eye out on this particular pattern here, because in the week 2 precipitation anomalies, there we go, we can kind of see the influence of that potential system as it comes through. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that. Just quickly, I do want to show you what's going on in the Atlantic. We don't have anything being forecast for the Gulf or right off the southeast coast or the Caribbean really, but we do have this lead wave that's been downgraded to only a what they put this morning, a 20% or a 30% chance of developing. There's a couple of waves following it, one here, and then the one that's farther to the south. And that all three of these waves only have about a 30% chance of surviving. But the weekend trends, we'll just keep an eye on this southerly wave as it's the one that could make it to the Lesser Antilles, late next week. Just to wrap up that discussion on temperature, I'm going to show you the 5-day sliding window of temperatures through the beginning of the 3rd week of the month. Notice how we don't really rebuild a whole lot of excessive heat west like we had, and the warmth returns back to the midsection of the country, probably promoting a pretty rapid dry down here of the crop. I am anticipating about 1 storm system a week rolling across the United States with this current pattern, and we talked about that in last night's in-depth forecast. And also, I don't see an early threat for a major frost, given that the pattern doesn't have the kind of amplitude it would need, like a deep trough over the Hudson Bay combined with, a big ridge over the west and one over Greenland to deliver a lot of cold air into this area that could promote an early frost. We'll be on the lookout for that, of course, but not seeing it at this point. So just 2 last things to finish up with. Keeping a very close eye on the longer range forecast for South America. The models continue to show a wetter bias through the start of their growing season, probably prompting a very fast plant, while drought issues continue to plague parts of the very southern tip of Brazil, but Uruguay and parts of Argentina. We cover that in today's report. And finally, just want to kind of piggyback off of some of the stuff we talked about with La Nina in the in-depth report last night. Just continue to see in the newest model runs that the La Nina seems to be wavering a little bit in the strength of its trade winds over the next several days, about the next 15 days or so. And the Indian Ocean is no longer delivering those strong westerly wind bursts. So this could be an indication that the Pacific jet's going to pick up momentum, increase the frequency of these systems coming across the United States, maybe not giving us such a dry early fall as originally anticipated across much of the United States. So we'll watch all of that over the weekend, and I'll report back to you again on Monday. Thanks.